When you think about ancient India, maybe spirituality comes to mind first, right?
Oh,
Philosophy.
definitely. That's the common association, yeah.
But what if I told you that those same ancient texts, the Puranas, the Vedas, the epics, they talk about stuff that sounds, well, almost like modern science.
Uh-huh. It's pretty startling when you first encounter it.
Yeah. Like
Uh,
multiverses, time dilation, time actually bending flying machines, even
yeah.
these super powerful weapons.
It really makes you step back and wonder.
Exactly. Is it just myth,
Yeah.
allegory,
Mm.
or could it be something else? Maybe lost knowledge. That's what we're diving into today.
It's a question that really sticks with you, doesn't it? And what's fascinating isn't just like one or two random mentions.
Hmm.
It's the depth and the detail sometimes. Concepts that frankly felt like pure sci-fi until pretty recently.
Makes you think about the scope of their thinking. Absolutely. And for everyone listening, that's what we're getting into. We've sort of gathered insights from across these texts, looking at how they explored ideas that, well, modern science is still grappling with.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to unpack this idea of multiple universes. I mean, just imagine that.
Oh, yeah.
The way time might be fluid, these flying machines called Vimanas.
Right. And the cosmic maps creation theories.
Ideas about atoms,
Mm.
gravity. Plus, advanced math, these incredible weapons,
Yeah.
alchemy, even the structure of Sanskrit and architecture.
And don't forget the cities, the human potentials.
Right. So our goal today is really to pull out the most compelling bits, the surprising facts, and maybe, spark a few aha moments for you all.
And for you, our listener, we really want this to be an engaging journey, all right? Offer some perspectives that might surprise you, but without, just dumping a ton of information. Keep it accessible, get you thinking.
Okay, let's kick off with something that just, well, it blows my mind every time.
Hmm?
This idea of multiple universes. I mean, we look up, we see our one big cosmos, but the Puranas, they paint a picture that's just vastly bigger, don't they?
They really do. They talk about countless universes, these
Yeah.
Brahmandas. And the imagery they use for how they come about is fascinating.
Tell me about it.
They're described as emanating from Mahavishnu, who's resting in the Karanadaka, the causal ocean.
Okay.
And the analogy is like universes are bubbles. They appear when Mahavishnu exhales,
Oh.
and they dissolve back when he inhales. It's this cosmic breath creating and uncreating realities.
So, not just our universe, but countless others, each like a bubble popping in and out of existence in this huge cosmic ocean that predates modern multiverse ideas by millennia. You see this in the Brahma Samhita, the Purana.
Exactly. And the Bhagavata Purana gets even more vivid. It talks about innumerable universes besides this one and pictures them like atoms moving within the supreme, or countless universes, each enveloped in its shell, just wandering through space. The scale they imagined is,
Yeah.
well, it's just staggering. What are your thoughts when you hear that, our listener? Does that stretch your imagination like it does mine?
It absolutely does. And then there's a Brahma Vaivarta Purana, which takes it like another step further.
How so?
It suggests countless universes, and get this, each one has its own Brahma, its own Vishnu, Shiva, Indra,
Yeah.
like a complete cosmic setup replicated endlessly.
Wow, so a whole divine hierarchy in each bubble. That's a truly maximalist view of reality.
Isn't it?
And what's also really interesting is the structure they describe within each Brahmanda.
Okay.
You have Garbhodakasaya Vishnu entering each universe. From his navel, a cosmic lotus springs up.
Right, I've heard this.
And on that lotus, Brahma is born. He's like the engineer for that specific universe.
Got it.
Then Vishnu maintains it. It's kind of a nested system, almost fractal. And then there's another form, Ksirodakasaya Vishnu, who resides inside every living being in that universe as the Paramatma, the supersoul.
Layers upon layers of divinity woven into the fabric of each universe.
So beyond these multiple physical universes, the texts also talk about lokas. Now, we usually translate that as worlds or planes,
Mm-hmm.
but it feels like it means something more, doesn't it? Like maybe parallel dimensions or different states of being.
Mm.
What do you think, our listener? Ever thought about realities existing on different sort of frequencies?
That's a really crucial point. Because, well, yeah, there's the traditional list, 7 upper lokas, from Earth up to Brahma's realm, Satyaloka, and 7 lower ones.
Wait.
The descriptions often suggest different vibrational states, different dimensions. They're inhabited by all sorts of beings, devas, humans, asuras, gandharvas, yakshas, nagas.
A whole cosmic ecosystem.
Exactly, and each type of being seems attuned to the sort of energy or characteristics of their specific loka. And it's not always a simple good places up, bad places down hierarchy, is it? I'm thinking of Bilasvarga in the Bhagavata Purana.
Ah, yes, the subterranean realms.
Right. They're described as incredibly opulent, like even more luxurious than some heavens,
Hmm.
but they have no sunlight. It's such a strange, paradoxical image.
Precisely. It challenges our easy assumptions, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And this ties into something fascinating from the Yoga Vasista, the idea of three types of akasha, or space.
Okay, what are they?
There's Buddhakash, that's physical space, the kind we experience. Then Chittakash, mental or psychological space.
Hmm.
And finally, Chittakash, the space of consciousness itself. This framework implies reality isn't just the physical stuff around us.
It extends into mind and consciousness. That sets up the story of Queen Leela beautifully, doesn't it, from the Yoga Vasista?
It really does, a very compelling narrative.
For those listening who might not know it, Leela is deeply devoted to her dead husband, King Padma. And through her spiritual practice, guided by the goddess Saraswati, she learns about these different spaces.
And what's amazing is how Leela, through meditation, through accessing Chittakash, this mental space, she actually experiences Padma again.
But not as Padma.
No. As King Vidaratha, ruling a different kingdom in a totally different reality, completely unaware of his life as Padma, it really makes you question perception, doesn't it, our listener? Could there be other versions of us playing out different lives?
And Saraswati explains that both realities, Padma's and Vidaratha's, they actually exist within Chittakash, the space of pure consciousness.
Exactly. They arise from past desires, past imprints from their previous lives as Arundhati and Vasistha.
So Leela isn't physically traveling between worlds.
No, it's a journey of consciousness, through consciousness, allowing her to witness this parallel life. Vasistha's dying wish shaped Padma's reality. Arundhati's devotion shaped Leela's experience. It really hammers home how these realities are tied to consciousness, to our inner states.
So stepping back, what's the big picture here? This vision of multiple universes, from Mahavishnu's breath down to Leela's inner journey. It suggests a kind of self-similar pattern, almost fractal, right?
It does. And it definitely puts consciousness front and center. It's not just watching the show. It seems fundamental to the reality itself, which, has some interesting resonances with certain interpretations of quantum mechanics, the observer effect, how observation seems to influence quantum events. It really gets you thinking about what reality is, doesn't it? What do you think about that connection, our listener?
It's hard not to see echoes. I mean, modern physics talks about string theory's extra dimensions, the many worlds interpretation where every quantum choice splits the universe.
Right, or eternal inflation, constantly spawning new cosmic bubbles.
Yeah.
But, and this is a key distinction, the ancient Indian view usually weaves in consciousness, this idea of cyclical time we need to talk about, and a sense of hierarchy. It's generally not just a purely physical, random process like some modern models propose.
It's more holistic, more integrated.
Exactly. A very different flavor.
Yeah.
What stands out to you, our listener, when you compare these views?
Okay, let's shift gears to another concept that really messes with your perception. Time. We tend to think of it linearly, right? A straight line, past, present, future.
Clock ticking forward.
Yeah. But the ancient Indian view, completely different, huge cycles, and maybe time isn't even the same everywhere.
Precisely. The wheel of time, the yugas, the kalpas, the scale is just immense. It dwarfs our human experience of time.
So what's the basic unit?
The Mahayuga. That's 4.32 million human years.
4.2 million years. Okay.
And each Mahayuga is made of 4 descending ages, or yugas: Krita, Trita, Dwapara, and Kali.
Right. Krita Yuga, the Golden Age. That one lasts 1.728 million years.
Correct. Characterized by truth, goodness, long lifespans. Then Trita Yuga, virtue starts to decline a bit.
Silver Age, roughly.
Then Dwapara Yuga, virtue declines more. And finally, Kali Yuga, the Iron Age, where we are now.
Marked by conflict, materialism, shorter lifespans.
And the lengths follow that interesting 4.3.2.1 ratio. Kali Yuga is the shortest, 432,000 years.
And we're supposedly in that one now.
According to the text, yes. Started around 3102 BCE.
Okay, but these Mahayugas, they're just part of an even bigger picture.
Oh, much bigger. 1,000 Mahayugas make one kalpa. That's a day of Brahma.
And how long is that?
4.32 billion human years.
Billion with a B.
And then there's a night of Brahma, a period of cosmic dissolution, or Pralaya, which also lasts 4.32 billion years.
So a full day-night cycle for Brahma is 8.64 billion years.
Correct. And Brahma's total lifespan, 100 of those cosmic years.
That's 311.04 trillion human years. My brain hurts.
Light chuckle. It's meant to convey inconceivable vastness. When you hear these numbers, our listener, does it change how you think about cosmic history and our tiny spot in it?
It really does. And there are cycles within cycles too, right? Manvantaras.
Yes, 14 manvantaras within each kalpa, each containing 71 yuga cycles. It's this deeply nested, cyclical view, so different from our linear timeline.
But it's not just about these huge cycles. There are stories suggesting time is relative.
Exactly. Time dilation shows up. The story of King Kakudmi and his daughter Revati is the classic example, found in the Mahabharata, Bhagavata Purana.
Ah, yes, this is a great one. So Kinkakudmi has this amazing daughter, Revati, super accomplished, beautiful, and he wants to find the perfect husband, so he takes her where?
To Satyaloka,
Yeah.
Brahma's realm, to consult the creator himself.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
No,
And while they're there, they wait during some kind of celestial concert.
that's right. It seems like just a short musical performance to them.
But when Kakudmi finally gets to ask Brahma about potential husbands.
Brahma laughs.
Yeah.
He tells Kakudmi that all the candidates he had in mind, their entire lineages, everyone,
Yeah.
they're long gone.
Why?
Because that short wait in Satyaloka, on Earth, 27 Chatu Yugas had passed.
27 full cycles of all 4 yugas. How long is that?
Over 116 million years.
Whoa, so a few minutes for them was over 100 million years back home. Imagine that, listener.
So when they return to Earth, it's totally alien. Their city, Kushastali, is gone, replaced by Dvarka. The people are described as dwindled in stature, reduced in vigor, and enfeebled in intellect.
A massive time jump. It sounds exactly like time dilation.
It really does. It explicitly links the flow of time to the loka, the realm. It's a striking parallel to Einstein's relativity, isn't it? Some suggest Brahmaloka could be seen metaphorically as a place with extreme gravity or velocity compared to Earth. What do you make of that link, listener?
And it seems like it works both ways. A moment there's ages here, so maybe ages here are just a blink there.
The implication is certainly that time is flexible, interwoven with space, maybe consciousness too.
Are there other examples?
Yeah, Arjuna visits Indra's heaven in the Mahabharata, thinks he's gone a few days, comes back, years have passed on Earth. The sage Narada travels between realms, experiencing different time flows. It's a recurring theme.
And the whole yuga cycle itself, this decline from golden age to iron age, it feels a bit like cosmic entropy, doesn't it? A slow slide into disorder.
It does, but with a built-in reset button. The pralaya, the dissolution at the end of the cycle.
Followed by a new Satyuga, a new beginning.
Exactly. It's decay, but also renewal. Which brings us to Ananta Shesha.
The cosmic serpent.
Yes. Vishnu rests on him during the pralaya. Ananta means endless. Shesha means remainder. He represents eternity, infinity, the timeless backdrop against which these cycles play out.
He's often shown with countless hoods, holding up planets or universes.
Right, eternally singing Vishnu's glories. He symbolizes that infinite potential beyond cyclical time. What resonates most with you about this ancient view of time, our listener? It's so multi-layered.
It really is. Depth stuff. Okay, let's shift again. Flying machines. Vimanas. This sounds like pure sci-fi showing up in the Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puranas.
It does, doesn't it? And the question always is, are these just metaphors, poetic descriptions of, say, clouds or comets? Or are they talking about actual craft? What are your first thoughts when you hear ancient flying machines, listener?
Because the descriptions can get pretty specific.
They can. Generally, vimanas are these self-moving aerial cars, chariots, sometimes huge palace-like structures flying around.
7 stories high, I read somewhere.
Some descriptions, yes. Double-decked, circular, portholes, domes, speed of wind, speed of thought.
And they distinguish between different types, like man-made versus celestial.
It seems so. Some sound like wooden craft, maybe bird-like. Others seem much more advanced, belonging to gods or other beings.
Which are the famous ones?
Well, the Pushpaka Vimana is probably the best known. Originally Kubera's, then Ravana stole it, then Rama used it to fly back to Ayodhya.
What was special about it?
It was this beautiful, flowery chariot, could travel anywhere instantly at the user's will, change size to fit any number of people, incredibly fast, flew high in the atmosphere.
Okay, that's pretty advanced. What else?
Then there's the Salva Vimana. King Salva got this one from Mayadana, the Asura architect.
And this one sounds even weirder.
Yeah, this one is described as exceedingly mysterious. Could travel anywhere, cling to the sky, appear as one ship or many, turn visible or invisible.
What?
Be on the ground, in the air, on a hilltop, even on water. What kind of tech could do that, listener?
And it wasn't just for travel, was it? It was armed.
Heavily armed. Descriptions sound like rockets, missiles, spears, even flamethrowers. It could create illusions, mess with day and night. It sounds less like a chariot and more like an advanced, stealthy battleship.
Absolutely. Any other types mentioned?
Oh, yeah. Shakuna Vimana, supposedly bird-shaped with wings. Tripura Vimana, 3 flying cities. Sundara Vimana could change shape. Gaja Vimana, elephant-shaped. Ratha Vimana, the gods' chariots in the Rig Veda. Matsya Vimana, fish-shaped, agile. Lots of variety.
And do any texts try to explain how they worked?
Some later ones attempt it.
Mhm.
The Samarangana Sutradhara from the 11th century apparently has over 200 verses on Vimana construction, flight, landing, navigation, even how to protect them.
Really? What did they say powered them?
It mentions Mercury Rasa as a possible propulsion source. Then there's the controversial Vaimanika Shastra.
Ah, the 20th century text claiming ancient origins.
Right. Highly debated. But it describes things like heat-absorbing metals and 32 secrets that some people interpret as radar, solar energy capture, maybe even photography.
Right.
What do you make of these technical descriptions, listener?
It's fascinating stuff. And how does this fit with their map of the cosmos, the Bhumandala?
The Bhumandala from the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's another complex one.
Complex how?
Well, it's described as this huge circular disk or plane, billions of miles across, dividing the universe horizontally, often compared to a lotus.
Okay.
At the center is Jambudvipa, the central continent or island, and dominating that is Mount Meru.
The cosmic mountain, the Axis Mundi.
Exactly. Golden, cone-shaped, incredibly high. Brahma City, Brahmapuri, is said to be on top.
And around Jambudvipa.
7 concentric island continents, the Dvipas, each separated by a concentric ocean.
And the oceans aren't just water, right?
No. Get this. Oceans of salt water, sugarcane juice, liquor, ghee, milk, yogurt, and finally sweet water. Each island and ocean pair is twice as wide as the one inside it.
That's bizarre. Sugarcane juice oceans.
It definitely challenges a literal interpretation. Jambudvipa itself is divided into 9 regions, or varshas. The southernmost is Bharatavarsha, usually identified with India or the known human world.
So how do people interpret this Bhumandala?
All sorts of ways. Some take it literally as a flat plane. Others see it as a planisphere, a projection of a sphere onto a flat surface. Some think it's a map of the solar system, or maybe just South Central Asia in symbolic form. The texts themselves even say it's a Chincha, inconceivable. What's your take on what this map might be showing, listener?
It sounds more symbolic than literal. And who lives in these places, these lokas?
A whole range of beings. The Devas and Asuras often called gods and demons, but maybe better understood as rival celestial families. Devas in higher realms, upholders of cosmic order. Asuras often challenging them, sometimes possessing great power and technical skill, like Maya Danava.
The architect of that Salpavimana.
Exactly. Then you have Gandharvas and Yakshas, celestial musicians, nature spirits, guardians of treasure, often inhabiting intermediate spaces.
And the Nagas.
Semi-divine serpent beings. They live in Patala, the subterranean realm, below the Earth's surface, often described as beautiful, living in opulent palaces lit by jewels, since there's no sun.
Ruled by kings like Vasuki or Ananta Shesha himself.
Right. They possess mystical powers, guard treasures associated with water. They can take human form, interact with humans. Some ancient dynasties even claimed Naga ancestry.
So, tying this back to the Vimanas and the map, what's the overall feeling?
It feels like the descriptions of technology, like Vimanas, might be linked to consciousness, spiritual power, subtle energies, not just nuts and bolts machinery as we think of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bhumandala seems less like a physical map and more like a multi-layered diagram, cosmological, geographical, spiritual, maybe psychological, all encoded together.
And the universe is just teeming with different kinds of conscious life, maybe in different dimensions or with different laws.
That's the strong impression, yeah. Parallels to modern ideas about aliens or interdimensional beings aren't hard to draw. What kind of universe do you imagine from all this, listener?
Okay, let's dive even deeper into the real fundamentals. Creation itself, gravity, the nature of matter atoms. The Rig Veda has some incredibly old and profound thoughts on this.
Absolutely. The Nasadiya Sukta, the hymn of creation. It's just astonishing philosophical poetry.
What does it say?
It starts with questions. Before creation, what was there? Neither existence nor non-existence. No air, no sky. What covered it? Where? Was it deep water?
Big questions.
Huge. It talks about that one, tad ekam, breathing, self-sustaining, without wind. Then emergence through tapas, this inner heat, austerity, creative energy.
And kama.
Desire, the first seed of mind, the impulse towards creation.
Wow.
But then it ends with this incredible humility. Who really knows? Who can say? The gods came after creation, so who knows where it came from? Maybe the highest seer in the highest heaven knows? Or maybe even he knows not.
That honesty about the limits of knowing is powerful, isn't it? What strikes you most about that ancient questioning, our listener?
It really is. Then you have other hymns like the Hiranyagarbha Sukta.
The golden embryo,
Yes. Emerging from primordial waters, becoming the sole Lord, setting up earth and sky. And the Purusha Sukta,
the cosmic sacrifice.
right, where the primordial being, Purusha, is sacrificed, and different parts of his cosmic body become the moon, the sun, the wind, the elements, living beings, even the social orders. It emphasizes interconnection, creation as transformation.
These hymns seem to set the stage for later philosophical systems like Samkhya.
Definitely. Samkhya provides a more systematic framework. It's dualistic. You have Purusha
Pure consciousness, passive observer.
and Prakriti, primordial matter, active potential. Prakriti exists in equilibrium with its three guna sattva, rajas, tamas, purity, activity, inertia.
Okay.
Creation happens when Purusha's presence disturbs Prakriti's balance. Then Prakriti starts to evolve parinama.
How does that unfold?
Prakriti evolves into Mahat, the cosmic intellect. Then Ahamkara, the ego principle. From Hamkara, influenced by the gunas, arise the mind, the senses, the subtle elements, tanmatras, and finally the gross elements, mahabhuta, space, air, fire, water, earth.
It's an evolutionary model, but driven by consciousness interacting with matter. What do you think of consciousness being the catalyst, listener?
It's fascinating, isn't it? Consciousness isn't just a late-stage product, it's involved from the beginning. Now, contrast that with the Vaishika school.
Canada's atomism.
Exactly. Sage Canada proposed that all material things are made of eternal, indivisible paramanu atoms.
So an ancient atomic theory?
Yes. These atoms combine, maybe with heat, to form molecules, enu. He even proposed 4 types of atoms: earth, water, fire, air.
Did he say anything about their properties?
Earth and water atoms were said to have mass. Fire and air atoms, interestingly, were considered massless, and atoms were spherical, existing either at rest or in motion.
And did Vaisheshika talk about forces, like gravity?
Yes, this is really remarkable. Canada's Vaishika Sutras explicitly mention gravity, Gurutva. Sutra 5.1.7 says falling happens due to gravity, Gurutvatpatnam, when there's no support or counterforce.
Wow, an ancient definition of gravity.
And other sutras imply things like an object needing a force, nodana, impact, to move upwards or sideways, and that action involves connection and separation. There are definite parallels drawn between Canada's ideas on motion and Newton's later laws. What do you think about finding gravity discussed so early, listener?
That's pretty stunning. What about space, Akasha?
Both schools considered Akasha fundamental. Vaisheshika saw it as one of the 9 basic substances, eternal, single, all-pervading, the medium for sound.
And Samkhya?
For Samkhya, Akasha is the first and most subtle, gross element to evolve from the sound potential, the Shabda Tanmatra. In both cases, it's not just emptiness, but a fundamental medium.
So, looking back at these ideas, creation hymns, Samkhya's evolution, Vaisheshika's atoms, and gravity, what's the takeaway?
You see this incredibly deep engagement with fundamental questions. Vaisheshika offers an early systematic physics based on logic and observation, including gravity. The hymns in Samkhya emphasize evolution from a source, with consciousness often playing a key role, resonating maybe with Big Bang ideas, but with that crucial conscious element, and that mention of desire in Anasadiya Supta as a driving force. Fascinating. What resonates most with you from these foundational ideas, listener?
Okay, let's shift again to hints of maybe more. Applied knowledge, advanced stuff, mathematics, weaponry, alchemy. Starting with math, ancient India's contributions here are just foundational, aren't they?
Absolutely world-changing. The concept of zero, shunya. It's hard to overstate its importance.
From just a placeholder to a number in its own right.
Exactly. Formalized with arithmetic rules by Brahmagupta in the 7th century CE, though used implicitly much earlier, Gwalior has an inscription from 876 CE with a recognizable zero, a just transformed calculation, along with a decimal place value system, also from India. It's the system the whole world uses now.
Yeah.
Did you realize our numbers came from there, listener?
It's incredible, and it wasn't just zero, right? Algebra.
Bijaganita, yes. Major strides. Aryabhata in the 5th century solving linear equations, Brahmagupta tackling quadratic and indeterminate ones, Bhaskar II in the 12th century working on quadratics, cubics, quartics, and developing the Chakravala method for Pell's equation, really advanced stuff.
And geometry and trigonometry, too. I know the Silpa Sutras are important here.
Very. These texts for constructing ritual altars, dating back perhaps to 800 BCE, show practical geometry making squares, rectangles, circles, preserving areas. And crucially, They state and use the Pythagorean theorem.
Explicitly.
Yes, the Bhagavata Sutra gives the theorem and examples of Pythagorean triples. Later, Aryabhata introduced sine and cosine tables and gave that remarkably accurate value for pi 3.1416. Bhaskara II went further into spherical trigonometry, even foreshadowing calculus. How did they figure all this out, listener?
And this math wasn't just abstract, it was used in astronomy.
Heavily. Texts like the Surya Siddhanta give detailed rules for calculating planetary motions, orbits, diameters, distances. Some calculations, like Earth and Moon diameters, were surprisingly accurate. They used trig, fractions. It was sophisticated. Aryabhata proposed Earth's rotation, calculated the year length accurately, understood eclipses. Varahamihira synthesized astronomical knowledge. They even documented comets for centuries.
It's a massive intellectual achievement. Now let's talk about those weapons, the Astras.
Yeah.
The descriptions are intense.
They really are. The Brahmastra is the most famous, created by Brahma, supposedly the ultimate weapon.
How is it described?
Fiery, causing massive explosions, devastating the environment, targeted annihilation, the descriptions of lingering effects, barren land, sickness. Some people see parallels to nuclear aftermaths.
And there were rules.
Strict rules. Needed a specific mantra, supposedly usable only once in a lifetime. Could only be countered by an even more powerful weapon, the Brahmadanda. Ashwatthama's misuse of it in the Mahabharata is a major cautionary tale.
Then there's the Brahmashirsha Astra, even worse.
Said to be 4 times stronger, associated with Brahma's 4 heads. Knowledge was even rarer. Its potential effects were described as even more catastrophic, lasting damage across huge timescales. Potential annihilation, never fully unleashed, thankfully.
And Shiva's weapon, Pashupatastra?
Yes, Shiva's personal astra, discharged by mind, eyes, words, or bow. Irresistible, capable of destroying all creation, not for lesser foes. Arjuna famously obtained it from Shiva after intense penance.
And Indra's Vajra.
The thunderbolt. Indestructible, irresistible, famously crafted from the bones of the sage Didhiti, represents divine power, lightning.
Plus many others. Fire weapons, water weapons.
Agyastra, fire, Varunastra, water, Nagastra, snakes, Vivastra, wind. Many others, each linked to a deity with specific effects. What do you make of these weapon descriptions, listener? Myth or something else?
Okay, moving from destruction to transformation. Alchemy, Rasyana Shastra.
Or Rasa Shastra. A fascinating pursuit. 2 main goals usually. Transmuting base metals into gold.
The classic alchemical quest.
And achieving longevity, rejuvenation, even immortality.
And Mercury was key.
Rasa, yes, Mercury was central. It was believed to hold immense transformative power. But it needed complex purification and preparation, sometimes 18 stages, involving sulfur, mica, herbs, minerals to potentize it.
Why gold?
Gold wasn't just valuable materially. It symbolized purity, perfection, immortality. So rasa karma, the alchemical work, aimed to replicate that perfection in other substances and even the alchemist's own body.
A perfected immortal body. Siddha.
That was one goal, or achieving liberation, moksha, through these substances. Consuming prepared mercury compounds was believed to rejuvenate, cure diseases, grant long life, maybe even access to divine realms.
Legends of alchemists like Nagarjuna mastering this.
Yes, stories of him creating elixirs from mercury. And this tradition eventually fed into Ayurveda's rejuvenation therapies, Rasyana. What do you think about this quest for transmutation and immortality, listener?
And we should touch on Sanskrit itself. Panini's grammar, the Ashtatai.
An absolute marvel of linguistic science from maybe the 5th or 6th century BCE. Around 4,000 incredibly concise rules, sutras, plus supporting lists.
Describing the entire structure of Sanskrit.
Phonology, morphology, syntax, uses sophisticated techniques, meta-rules, recursion, operational logic. It's highly systematic, logical, almost mathematical.
Like a programming language for language.
People have drawn that comparison.
Yeah.
Its algorithmic, generative nature has led to comparisons with formal language theory, even Turing machines. Some modern researchers have explored if its structure could be useful for knowledge representation in AI. An astonishing intellectual feat. Were you aware of Sanskrit's structure, listener?
And finally, architecture Vastu Shastra.
The science of building in harmony with nature and the cosmos. Based on ancient texts like Mayamata, Manasara.
What does it consider?
Everything. Site selection, ground prep, orientation, aligning with cardinal directions is key spatial geometry using diagrams called mandalas, like the Vastu Purusha mandala.
The spirit of the site.
Sort of, yeah. Measurements, how spaces function together. The goal is creating environments that resonate with natural energies, promoting well-being, health, prosperity.
Does it describe town planning too?
Yes, Ideal shapes for town square, rectangle, circle, and layouts, specifying streets, gates, zones for temples, homes, businesses, water bodies. The city of Jaipur, founded in 1727, is often cited as being planned according to Vastu principles. When you think about your home, listener, do you feel a sense of harmony or balance?
So looking across all these math, weapons, alchemy, language, architecture, what's the connecting thread?
Interconnectedness,
Mm.
a holistic view. These fields weren't separate silos. Math informed astronomy, language structure reflected philosophical ideas,
Hmm.
architecture mirrored cosmology.
And ethics seemed important, especially with power.
Definitely. The strict rules for the astras, the warnings against misuse like with Ashwatthama, it resonates with modern concerns about technological ethics. Power comes with responsibility.
And the interpretation often feels layered, right? Literal and symbolic.
Exactly. Vimanas, astras, alchemy. The texts seem to work on multiple levels simultaneously, leaving room for different understandings. What do you think about this blend of knowledge and ethics, listener?
Okay, one last area, perhaps the most internal, the siddhis.
Ah.
These extraordinary abilities.
Right, the power is said to arise from intense spiritual practice, especially yoga.
Ah.
Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, particularly the third chapter, the Vibhuti-pada, is the primary source here.
And how do they arise?
Mainly through samyama. That's the combined, sustained practice of concentration, dharana, meditation, dhyana, and absorption, samadhi, focused on specific objects or principles.
Are there other ways?
Patanjali mentions they can also come from birth, certain herbs, aushadhi mantras, or intense austerities, tapas.
And what kind of abilities are we talking about? It sounds pretty out there.
The range is vast. Cognitive siddhis, knowing the past and future, understanding animal languages, recalling past lives, knowing others' minds.
Wow, what about physical ones?
Bodily powers. Anima, becoming tiny. Mahima, becoming huge. Lagima, becoming light, levitation. Invisibility, becoming heavy. Overcoming hunger and thirst. Perfect health. Even entering another person's body. Parakaya praveja.
Entering another body. Serious.
That's what the texts describe. Then there are powers over nature. Prapti, getting anything you want. Prakamya, irresistible will. Ishitva and Vashitva, mastery over elements or beings.
Like controlling the weather.
Potentially. Also walking on water or thorns, radiating light, hearing distant sounds, superhuman strength like an elephant's, knowledge of subtle realms or stars, perceiving perfected beings, siddhas, mastery of the senses, moving at the speed of mind. When you hear this list, listener, what goes through your head?
It's a lot. But didn't Patanjali issue a warning about these?
Absolutely crucial point. He states very clearly that siddhis are not the goal of yoga. They are potential obstacles, upasargas, if you get attached to them.
Distractions from the real goal.
Exactly. They can inflate the ego and pull you away from the true aim, which is kaivalya, liberation, ultimate freedom. The highest siddhi, he says, isn't levitation or mind reading, it's mastery over samadhi itself.
So it's an alternative model of power, isn't it? Internal discipline, consciousness, subtle energies, not external tech.
Precisely. It highlights latent human potential. But the value system embedded within it prioritizes liberation over power. Siddhis might arise, but they're side effects. Pursuing them for their own sake is seen as a trap. Wisdom and freedom are valued above phenomenal abilities. What resonates most with you about this view of human potential, listener?
Wow. Okay, so we've covered a huge amount of ground today. Multiverses, relative time, Vimanas, cosmic maps, creation stories, atoms, gravity, incredible math, potent astras, alchemy, Sanskrit structure, Vastu, and these cities. It's been quite the deep dive.
It really has. And what stands out, I think, is the sheer density and diversity of concepts across so many fields, and how many of them somehow resonate with modern scientific ideas, even though the frameworks are totally different.
Yeah, just dismissing it all as coincidence feels insufficient, doesn't it? It suggests a really deep, systematic way of thinking about the universe was happening way back then.
It really points towards that holistic, integrated approach to knowledge we talked about. Disciplines weren't walled off. Exploring the outer world went hand in hand with exploring the inner world and with considering the ethical side of things.
That interconnectedness feels very relevant today, maybe more than ever.
I agree. And ultimately, maybe the real power of these ancient stories and ideas isn't whether they are literal scientific accounts, but their ability to inspire awe, wonder, critical thinking, and just open us up to a more expansive, maybe even more magical view of reality and our place in it.
Well said. These threads connecting ancient wisdom and modern understanding, they definitely invite more questions, more exploration into the big mystery. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey.
Thank you. It's been fascinating.
Please like, share, comment, and subscribe WizVibe YouTube channel for more interesting talk shows.